Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is dying alone, forgotten, their final breath unwitnessed and unmourned. Somewhere else, a genius is creating something revolutionary while the world scrolls past, indifferent to greatness. And somewhere, a person just like you is realizing the most liberating truth in human existence. The world doesn't care about you, your dreams, your pain, or your success. And that indifference, that cosmic apathy, is about to become your greatest weapon. Tonight, we descend into the philosophical void to confront the most brutal and liberating truth of existence. The universe is not watching, reality is not keeping score, and the world operates with complete indifference to your hopes, fears, and expectations. This is not nihilistic despair. This is the foundation of ultimate freedom. This is not cosmic cruelty. This is the removal of all excuses, all delays, all reasons to wait for permission that will never come. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for the world to notice them, validate them, reward their virtue, punish their enemies, and provide the justice they believe they deserve. They waste decades expecting cosmic reciprocity, believing that good intentions will be rewarded, that hard work will be recognized, that suffering will be compensated, that truth will triumph simply because it is true. These people die bitter, disappointed, and broken because they never understood the fundamental law of existence. The world doesn't care. But tonight, through the unflinching realism of Friedrich Nietzsche, who recognized that existence is an amoral struggle where only the strong create meaning, through the ruthless pragmatism of Niccolò Machiavelli, who understood that effective action requires abandoning illusions about how the world should work in favor of understanding how it actually works, through the psychological insights of Carl Jung, who revealed that accepting the world's indifference is prerequisite to psychological integration and authentic power, through the Stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, who learned to find strength in accepting what cannot be controlled, and through the existential courage of those who create meaning in a meaningless universe, we will transform this cosmic indifference from your greatest source of despair into your most powerful strategic advantage. By the end of this philosophical revelation, you will understand why the world's indifference is not your enemy but your liberation, why cosmic apathy is not punishment but freedom, why universal indifference is not obstacle but opportunity. You will learn to stop wasting energy on resentment about how things should be and start harvesting power from how things actually are. The question that will determine whether you remain a victim of cosmic disappointment or become a master of cosmic indifference is this: will you continue expecting the world to care about your existence, or will you learn to exploit its indifference to create the existence you want, regardless of whether anyone notices, approves, or assists? Friedrich Nietzsche stared into the abyss of cosmic meaninglessness and emerged with the most liberating philosophy ever conceived. If the universe provides no inherent meaning, then you are free to create whatever meaning serves your development, empowerment, and will to power. His declaration that God is dead was not a lament but a celebration, the recognition that the death of external authority creates the birth of internal authority, that cosmic indifference enables human sovereignty. Nietzsche understood that most people cannot bear the weight of this freedom, and therefore create elaborate illusions to avoid confronting the fundamental indifference of existence. They invent cosmic justice systems, divine plans, and universal meanings that make their suffering feel significant and their efforts feel guaranteed of eventual recognition. These illusions provide psychological comfort, but prevent the development of genuine strength because they encourage waiting for external validation rather than creating internal value. The person who truly grasps Nietzsche's insight realizes that the world's indifference is not a problem to be solved, but a condition to be exploited. If reality doesn't care about your success or failure, then failure carries no cosmic weight and success requires no cosmic permission. If the universe doesn't judge your choices, then you are free to choose based on effectiveness rather than morality, results rather than approval, power rather than righteousness. This recognition transforms every aspect of how you approach existence. Instead of asking, "What does the world want from me?" you ask, "What do I want from the world?" Instead of seeking to earn cosmic favor, you focus on developing capabilities that create the outcomes you prefer, regardless of cosmic indifference. Instead of waiting for justice, you become justice through your own actions. Instead of expecting meaning, you create meaning through your own will. Nietzsche's will to power emerges as the appropriate response to cosmic indifference, not the will to dominate others, but the will to dominate circumstances, to overcome obstacles, to create value where none existed, to build meaning from meaningless raw materials. The indifferent universe provides unlimited raw material for those strong enough to shape it according to their vision. The Nietzschean insight reveals that cosmic indifference is actually cosmic opportunity. If the world doesn't care what you do, then you are limited only by your own capabilities and courage, rather than by external permission or approval. If reality doesn't punish ambition or reward mediocrity, then you are free to pursue excellence without moral constraints or expectations of fairness. This freedom terrifies most people because it eliminates all excuses for limitation, all justifications for mediocrity, all explanations for failure that don't involve personal responsibility. The person who accepts cosmic indifference must also accept that their outcomes depend entirely on their choices, actions, and capabilities, rather than on external forces that can be blamed for disappointment. But this terror is the price of authentic power. The person who embraces cosmic indifference discovers that they have been freed from the greatest limitation of all, the need for the world to cooperate with their plans, validate their efforts, or reward their virtue. They can act based on strategic calculation rather than moral expectation, can pursue objectives without needing cosmic approval, can build power without waiting for cosmic permission. Nietzsche's eternal recurrence thought experiment becomes a test of whether you have truly accepted cosmic indifference. If you had to live your exact life infinite times, with all its suffering, failure, and disappointment, would you affirm it completely? The person who can answer yes has transcended the need for cosmic care and found strength in cosmic indifference. The Übermensch. Nietzsche's vision of human potential actualized is precisely the individual who has learned to thrive in and exploit cosmic indifference rather than being crushed by expectations of cosmic care. They create their own values, pursue their own objectives, and measure their own success without needing external validation or cosmic reciprocity. From this Nietzschean perspective, learning to use the world's indifference means developing the psychological strength to act without cosmic support, the strategic intelligence to succeed without cosmic assistance, and the creative power to build meaning without cosmic materials. The indifferent universe becomes not your enemy but your workshop, not your judge but your raw material, not your authority but your opportunity. Niccolò Machiavelli approached cosmic indifference from the perspective of political effectiveness, recognizing that successful leadership requires abandoning illusions about how the world should operate and learning to work with how it actually operates. His analysis reveals that the most dangerous leaders are those who expect the world to reward virtue, punish vice, and operate according to moral principles that have no foundation in political reality. Machiavelli observed that princes who governed based on how they wished the world worked rather than how it actually worked consistently failed, and were replaced by princes who understood that political success requires adapting to circumstances rather than expecting circumstances to adapt to moral preferences. The effective leader accepts that the world is indifferent to their good intentions and focuses instead on creating results through strategic action. This principle extends far beyond formal political leadership to every situation where you must influence outcomes in an indifferent world. The business that expects market fairness will be destroyed by competitors who understand that markets reward effectiveness, not virtue. The person who expects workplace justice will be exploited by colleagues who understand that organizations reward results, not righteousness. The individual who expects relationship fairness will be manipulated by partners who understand that relationships reward value creation, not moral superiority. Machiavellian wisdom teaches that cosmic indifference is not a moral failing of the universe, but simply a description of how reality operates. Complaining about this indifference is as pointless as complaining about gravity. It wastes energy that could be used to work with natural forces rather than against them. The effective person accepts cosmic indifference as a strategic parameter and designs their actions accordingly. This acceptance eliminates the emotional energy waste that comes from resentment about cosmic unfairness, disappointment about cosmic neglect, and anger about cosmic injustice. Instead of spending psychological resources on these unproductive emotions, the Machiavellian individual channels all energy towards strategic analysis and effective action. Machiavelli understood that cosmic indifference creates opportunity for those sophisticated enough to exploit it. If the world doesn't care about your success, then it also doesn't care about preventing your success. You are limited only by your own capabilities and strategic intelligence, rather than by cosmic opposition. If reality doesn't judge your methods, then you can choose methods based on effectiveness rather than moral appearance. The person who learns to use cosmic indifference develops what Machiavelli would recognize as virtue, the ability to adapt flexibly to circumstances rather than expecting circumstances to conform to your preferences. They become skilled at reading situations accurately rather than through the filter of how situations should be, at responding to actual conditions rather than ideal conditions, at working with reality rather than fighting against it. This strategic approach to cosmic indifference transforms every challenge into an opportunity for demonstrating effectiveness, every obstacle into a chance for developing capability, every setback into intelligence about what doesn't work, that can inform more effective future approaches. The indifferent world becomes a neutral testing ground for your strategies, rather than a hostile force opposing your success. Machiavelli's insight reveals that most people fail, not because the world opposes them, but because they waste energy opposing the world instead of learning to work with its indifferent forces. They expect cosmic cooperation and become paralyzed when they don't receive it, rather than accepting cosmic indifference and developing the skills necessary to succeed despite it. The Machiavellian approach to cosmic indifference requires developing what could be called strategic detachment, the ability to pursue your objectives without emotional investment in cosmic validation of those objectives. You act based on your understanding of what will produce desired results, rather than on expectations of cosmic support for your efforts. This detachment allows for much more effective strategic thinking because it eliminates the cognitive biases that come from expecting the world to operate according to moral principles or emotional preferences. You can analyze situations objectively, choose strategies based on effectiveness rather than appearance, and adapt quickly when circumstances change rather than remaining committed to approaches that no longer serve your objectives. Carl Jung's exploration of the collective unconscious and the process of individuation reveals the psychological mechanisms through which accepting cosmic indifference becomes the foundation for authentic personal development and genuine psychological strength. His insights show that the refusal to accept cosmic indifference keeps most people psychologically dependent on external validation and approval that may never come, or, when it does come, may not provide the satisfaction they expected. Jung understood that psychological maturation requires what he called the encounter with the unconscious, the recognition that much of what we believe about ourselves and the world is projection, fantasy, and unconscious material that has little connection to actual reality. Part of this encounter involves recognizing that our expectations of cosmic care, justice, and meaning are psychological projections rather than accurate descriptions of how existence actually operates. The person who cannot accept cosmic indifference remains psychologically inflated with unconscious expectations that the world will eventually recognize their specialness, reward their virtue, and provide the love, attention, and validation they believe they deserve. This inflation prevents genuine self-development because it encourages waiting for external recognition rather than building internal worth. Jung observed that individuals who had successfully integrated their encounter with cosmic indifference often emerged from the process with much greater psychological resilience, authentic self-knowledge, and capacity for independent action than those who maintained illusions about cosmic care. They had learned to validate themselves rather than seeking external validation, to create their own meaning rather than expecting to discover cosmic meaning, and to take responsibility for their own development rather than waiting for cosmic assistance. The Jungian process of individuation necessarily involves accepting what he called the loneliness of the individuated person, the recognition that authentic selfhood cannot depend on external support, approval, or even understanding. This loneliness is not pathological isolation, but the natural result of developing beyond the need for constant external validation and cosmic reassurance. Jung's analysis reveals that accepting cosmic indifference is prerequisite to developing what he called the transcendent function, the ability to maintain psychological balance and continue development regardless of external circumstances. This function allows the individual to extract value from any experience, learn from any outcome, and continue growing regardless of whether the world provides support, opposition, or indifference. The person who develops this transcendent function learns to use cosmic indifference as psychological liberation, rather than experiencing it as psychological abandonment. They recognize that the world's failure to care about their development actually frees them to develop according to their own understanding, rather than according to external expectations or cosmic requirements. Jung understood that this psychological independence is not coldness or detachment from human connection, but rather the foundation for authentic relationship and genuine contribution. The person who doesn't need cosmic care is free to choose their connections based on mutual value rather than desperate need, to contribute based on their capabilities rather than their need for recognition, and to love based on choice rather than psychological dependency. The Jungian insight extends to recognizing that much of what people call depression, anxiety, and existential crisis actually represents the psyche's attempt to force conscious recognition of cosmic indifference that has been unconsciously denied. These psychological states often resolve when the person stops fighting cosmic indifference and starts learning to work with it as a fundamental condition of existence rather than a temporary problem to be solved. From Jung's perspective, learning to use cosmic indifference means developing the psychological strength to create your own psychological weather, rather than being dependent on external conditions for internal stability. It means building internal sources of meaning, validation, and direction that operate regardless of cosmic care or cosmic neglect. The practical implications of truly understanding and accepting cosmic indifference extend into every area of life where you have previously wasted energy expecting external validation, cosmic justice, or universal fairness. This understanding eliminates a vast array of counterproductive behaviors, emotional patterns, and strategic mistakes that prevent effective action and authentic development. In professional contexts, accepting cosmic indifference means focusing on creating measurable value rather than expecting recognition for good intentions, building concrete skills rather than waiting for talent to be discovered, and taking strategic action rather than hoping for fair treatment from systems that operate on entirely different principles than fairness. The person who accepts professional cosmic indifference stops complaining about workplace politics and starts learning to navigate them effectively, stops expecting meritocracy and starts building undeniable capabilities, stops waiting for opportunities and starts creating them through strategic action and relationship building. This approach transforms every professional challenge into skill-building opportunity rather than evidence of cosmic injustice. Rejection becomes information about market conditions rather than personal failing. Competition becomes motivation for improvement rather than proof of cosmic unfairness. Setbacks become intelligence about what doesn't work rather than cosmic punishment for past mistakes. In relationships, accepting cosmic indifference means taking responsibility for creating the connections you want, rather than expecting others to provide the love, attention, and validation you believe you deserve, based on your virtue, suffering, or good intentions. It means building genuine value in relationships, rather than expecting others to overlook your limitations out of cosmic compassion. The person who accepts relational cosmic indifference stops keeping score of who owes what to whom, stops expecting others to read their minds and meet their unspoken needs, stops waiting for others to initiate the connections they want, and starts taking consistent action to create the relationships they prefer through their own behavior and value creation. This approach eliminates the resentment, disappointment, and emotional manipulation that arise from expecting others to care more than they actually do, or to provide more than they are actually capable of providing. It creates space for authentic appreciation when others do care, rather than entitled expectation that they should care. In personal development, accepting cosmic indifference means taking complete responsibility for your own growth, learning, and transformation, rather than expecting the world to provide the conditions you believe you need for development. It means creating your own curriculum for becoming who you want to become, rather than waiting for life to teach you what you think you need to know. The person who accepts developmental cosmic indifference stops making excuses based on lack of resources, opportunities, or external support, and starts working with whatever resources are actually available. They stop waiting for perfect conditions and start making progress with imperfect ones. They stop expecting others to motivate them and start building internal motivation systems that operate regardless of external encouragement. The strategic advantages of accepting and exploiting cosmic indifference are profound and far-reaching. When you stop expecting the world to care about your efforts, you start focusing entirely on making those efforts effective rather than visible. When you stop seeking cosmic validation, you start building actual capabilities that create real value rather than pursuing achievements that look impressive to others. This strategic focus eliminates the enormous energy waste that comes from resentment, disappointment, and the emotional processing of cosmic unfairness. Instead of spending psychological resources on anger about how things should be different, you channel all energy toward understanding how things actually are and working with those conditions to create the outcomes you prefer. The person who has learned to exploit cosmic indifference develops what could be called strategic pragmatism, the ability to assess situations without emotional contamination, choose methods based on effectiveness rather than moral appearance, and persist through setbacks without needing external encouragement or cosmic reassurance that they are on the right path. This pragmatism creates enormous competitive advantages because it eliminates the hesitation, second-guessing, and emotional paralysis that affect people who are still waiting for cosmic permission to pursue their objectives. The person who accepts cosmic indifference can act quickly and decisively because they don't need to wait for external validation of their choices. Perhaps most importantly, accepting cosmic indifference creates psychological anti-fragility, the ability not just to survive challenges and setbacks, but to become stronger through them. When you stop expecting cosmic protection from difficulty, you start developing the capabilities necessary to handle any level of difficulty that might arise. When you stop expecting cosmic rescue from problems, you start building the problem-solving skills that make rescue unnecessary. The ultimate recognition is that cosmic indifference is not the universe's failure to care about you. It is the universe's gift of complete freedom to create yourself according to your own vision, without needing to conform to cosmic expectations or please cosmic authorities. The indifferent universe asks nothing from you and therefore cannot limit what you choose to become or achieve. This freedom is terrifying to most people because it eliminates all excuses for limitation and all explanations for failure that don't involve personal responsibility. But for those brave enough to embrace it, cosmic indifference becomes the foundation for unlimited personal sovereignty, strategic flexibility, and authentic power that depends on no external authority for its existence or exercise. The choice that determines whether you remain enslaved to expectations of cosmic care or liberated through cosmic indifference is simple but profound. Will you continue wasting energy expecting the world to notice, validate, and reward your existence, or will you learn to create the existence you want regardless of cosmic attention, approval, or assistance? The world doesn't care about your success. but it also doesn't care about preventing your success. The world doesn't care about your happiness, but it also doesn't care about maintaining your suffering. The world doesn't care about your dreams, but it also doesn't care about limiting their realization to what others believe you deserve. This indifference is not cruelty. It is neutrality. It is not opposition. It is opportunity. It is not abandonment. It is freedom. The moment you truly understand that the world doesn't care, you realize that you are free to care enough for yourself to create whatever reality serves your development, empowerment, and authentic expression. Stop waiting for cosmic validation that will never come. Stop expecting universal fairness that doesn't exist. Stop seeking cosmic meaning that isn't provided. Start creating your own validation through effective action. Start building your own fairness through strategic planning. Start making your own meaning through conscious choice and consistent effort. The world's indifference is not your burden. It is your liberation. The universe's apathy is not your curse. It is your opportunity. Reality's neutrality is not your enemy. It is your workshop where you can build whatever you have the vision to conceive and the strength to construct. You have been freed from the greatest limitation of all, the need for cosmic permission to pursue your objectives, cosmic approval of your methods, cosmic validation of your worth. You can act based on your understanding rather than cosmic instruction. Choose based on effectiveness rather than cosmic morality. Build based on your vision rather than cosmic plan. This is not nihilism. It is the foundation of authentic empowerment. This is not meaninglessness. It is freedom to create whatever meaning serves your development. This is not abandonment. It is liberation from dependencies that kept you weak, waiting, and ultimately disappointed. The world doesn't care about you. Learn to use that indifference as the raw material from which you build the life you actually want, rather than the life you think you deserve. Stop asking what the world owes you, and start taking what you need to become who you choose to be. Your time of waiting for cosmic care is over. Your era of exploiting cosmic indifference begins now. The world doesn't care, and that indifference is about to become your greatest strategic advantage in the game of creating authentic power, genuine freedom, and self-determined meaning. Use it, master it. Transform it from your source of disappointment into your foundation of strength. The indifferent world is waiting for you to stop expecting its care and start demonstrating your power to thrive without it. Begin now.